I'm Chris Bussing. Welcome to my channel. I love tech sales. I've gotten a lot out of the career path, and I'm excited to share career opportunity with more people and help them be successful. On great guests like Frank Santana, who's a senior SDR at QuickBooks. He's a top earner, and he broke in with no sales experience, having a retail background. So today he's going to talk about how to transition, what it actually looks like to be SDR in life, the pros and cons, and what it takes to succeed, and also how to create your own brand as a content creator and some of the benefits. Thanks so much for joining. How's your day going so far?
Thanks for having me, man. Pretty good. Just booked like 5 meetings today. It's like kind of a big deal, like St. Patrick's Day around here, in Boston. So it's like I feel like the leprechaun is on me, you know?
That's amazing. I used to live in Boston myself. I remember Kick Murphy's on St. Patrick's Day. That song, like Shipping Up to Boston. It was an epic experience, special city. And I'm actually impressed because it's a holiday. I wonder, actually, I don't know if people Patrick's Day, but maybe the customers are in a good mood. What led to your success? I mean, I know you're under new work, but what are your thoughts?
Sorry, you broke up there. It looks like the connection might be a little.
That's unfortunate. Yeah, my Wi-Fi has been tough. I noticed even with like customer calls. But what do you think? That's like getting 5 meetings today. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of contributed a lot to prospecting mostly. So, I mean, this account is an account that, I know a lot about. So I'm not sure if this is like the same at other companies, but, we're kind of a platform where we can kind of reach out to multiple different personas within a company. So, for example, like say, you're in, we sell, to supply chain, we could go to somebody in manufacturing or marketing and sell to them as well. So we just had, I just was calling into an account where we have a big presence in, and yeah, I don't know. Everyone was just super happy to talk. So it was just a really good day. It could be the fact that it's St. Patrick's Day. There was this one guy that I was talking to, and he was like answering all these questions, and he's like, yeah, but it's like my day off. And I'm like, you just like took the call on your day off, just like talking about work. So I don't know. It just seems like something's in the air,
Yeah, and I think Friday, people are in a good. Some might say, "Hey, everyone's like checked out," but I do think there's a benefit to calling when people are in a good mood. It might be St. Patrick's Day, but Friday in general, people are ready to hop into the weekend, and they might be just like their guard down. But anyways, guys, before we really dive into talking about Frank's experience breaking sales from a retail background, make sure you like the video if you get value out of it, which I'm sure you will. More people who can benefit from the message, and subscribe to the channel. I've got your back weekly videos committed to helping you succeed in tech sales and honestly get the most out of life too. So Frank, could you talk a little bit about your story going from retail to tech? What was like the reality of that journey? What was it really like?
Yeah, great question. It was a weird one. So I was selling a phone one day, and I was just talking this guy's ear off. He was sort of like, yeah, I'm in sales. Like oh, like you're in sales, and just like we just asked him a bunch of questions, honestly. And I think at the moment he was like, I think you'd be really good at this job. Like, let me take your email down. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever, man. Like, here you go. Like, not thinking anything of it. Because in the past I had, applied to so many different tech jobs and haven't really got any response. So I kind of almost gave up on the career itself. And then got the phone interview, did great, nailed it. And then did the mock call, being like, okay, like awesome, nailed it. And then did the final interview. And honestly, I didn't feel like I did well in the panel interview. So if people don't know, like, panel interview, I don't know if this is like industry wide, but you'll have a bunch of managers kind of asking you questions and stuff like that. So I didn't feel like I did well. So I actually was looking for other jobs. I kind of just gave up, and I was like, okay, let me look for other jobs. And then they sent me an email, and they're like, hey, can you give us a call? We want to talk to you about like, the status of your interview. And I was like, wow, like this is awesome. Like they call you to tell you like you didn't do well and what you could have done better. And so I literally had the mindset that I didn't get the job, and I got on the phone. They're like, yeah, we'd love to offer you the position. And like, I was like thinking about it. Like, I was like, did I mishear this? And I actually ended up getting the job. So it was really huge for me because, I had worked in, Apple retail essentially for a really long time. And I really wanted something that was hybrid or remote. And um, I it felt so out of reach, right? Because it kind of felt like there wasn't many resources out there to like really like how to actually even get your resume seen, because it was seeming like, it didn't matter if you were in retail. It's like people wanted somebody out of college. It was really different. And I but actually so when I got the job, it wasn't like always like, oh my God, like it's great, I have the job. I was actually nervous as hell. Like I thought I might have made the wrong decision because, sales kind of has a sort of negative connotation, right? You think of like call farms, Grant Cardone videos, nothing against Grant Cardone, but like, you know what I mean? Like real, like high intensity. And it wasn't until like I got into the office and I met the team and I was like, oh, these are just like normal everyday people. Like they're really not like, they're not as like what the movies kind of perceive. Like it's not Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
And it's actually just it was really awesome. And I was like, and then that's when I realized like, oh my God, a lot of these skills are so transferable from retail into tech sales. And I think at that moment I was like, whoa, like there's so many people working retail jobs, like working their what's off. And they could be making way more money just off the base alone. Right. And it blew my mind.
So what drew you to tech sales? I mean, I could tell one thing is that you could make a lot of money when you put in the effort. There's a uncapped upside, especially when you get into AE roles and you move up the chain. But what else drew you to tech sales?
Yeah, it was a little bit of the money, and it was actually the remote lifestyle. Like I really wanted to have the ability to be remote and move to different places. And also, like thirdly, I think a big thing for me is that it was environment. Um, and it's something I said a lot when I like wanted to get into tech sales, but now it's like even become more and more real because like if you're in sales, like you want something, like you want to achieve something more than the bare minimum. Like you could even look at somebody who's the lowest performer, like they at least want more than the bare minimum, right? And it like you kind of have to be a little bit crazy to pursue a job in sales where you say like I want half of my salary to be performance based. Or like if you think about like back in the old days, like it used to be just commission. So like just the fact that it's like I know I want to work for this is like when you surround yourself with those people, it's like life changing. And I think it's been a year I've been here, and I've changed more. I changed faster than I ever have in my entire life. And when I say change, like I mean change. Like it's insane.
Yeah, like my mission for my channel is like personal transformation through tech sales, and I just did a video on like how 9 years in tech sales changed my life, and it did. So you hit the head on the nail. Like I knew I wanted to get into tech sales out of college. I had no clue what I want to do, but I realized I love people and I wanted to be great. Whatever it is. And then I interviewed for a job at Oracle. I talked to Rashonda Grimes, the hiring manager. Final round, I said I want to be great, and she said I tell my daughter that every. Just like you're around people that want to get the most out of life, and aren't looking to be comfortable. Because I think one of the most important things in sales is to be willing to make a habit of doing the uncomfortable things that failures aren't willing to do. That might sound harsh, but pick up a phone to talk to people that don't want to talk. I know you definitely do that, right? It's got you to where you are today. I've seen some great content. I think I saw a video. Oh man, you had a video with Zach Watson, who I've had on the channel, a mutual friend of ours, and I think he got hung up on. So I know you and Zach have really grinded it out. But anyways, a little bit of a TED Talk tangent on how tech sales develops. Speaking of developing character, I wanted to get a realistic. How long did it take you from the time you decided you wanted to get into tech sales to getting a job, to actually get that job? Because I've seen anomalies out there. There's rock stars that get a job in 2 weeks, but that's rare. And I think people come in with an unhealthy expectation. We're like, oh, they just find out about tech sales. They're all excited. It's work. And for most people, it doesn't happen in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. What was your journey? How long did it take you?
So if we look back at like the absolute genesis, I it took years. I
Yeah.
think it accelerated it because those it took me 2 weeks from the time I met that person. And so that was like a huge transformation because not only did I have a referral, but I had somebody who had been through the interview experience that kind of gave me pointers and coached me a little bit before. And that is like super helpful.
Game changer. That's
Yeah.
the dream scenario is you get referred and coached from the inside.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's so much better now, man. Like, the industry is a lot more cooler now. Like back when I was applying, I went to look back at my email. I applied to a company. I don't know if I should say the name out loud, but I applied to a company in 2017. And like, I got, hey, Frank, like, we don't think it's going to be a good fit. We can't move you to the next round. So like, yes, this process to get this job took 2 weeks, but I didn't get a job until 2021. And so, but now it's so much different. You have TikTok, like people just give so much great advice. You have LinkedIn, like there's a lot of great resources out there.
Yeah. Were there resources that helped you? I mean, obviously you had someone at the end of the day, the game changer is getting referred from the inside and coached from the inside and networking to step outside the traditional application process. But like, were there resources that helped you on your journey that were helpful that you think that the audience should check out?
I really enjoy like Trent Dressel videos. I think those videos are really helpful. There's a few people that I really like. I think his name's Vin. Is it Vin Montano or his name? He's an AE. I think it's Demand Base. Amazing content there. He has a lot of great methods there. Honestly, I think like the best advice for someone getting into tech sales is like get creative, because I feel like this industry itself is getting very like popular. And so if there's any way to stick out, like do it. Like I know a lot of my managers, they don't get cold called. So if you have, the guts to like make a cold call, even if it's not the most extraordinary cold call ever, just saying like, hey, I'm Frank, I just applied. The fact that you cold called them, it really means a lot to them. So just do anything to stick out, really. And then, yeah, definitely watch Chris Busson's content, watch Not Yet Frank's content. Will help you get there.
Yeah, Frank is a great TikTok presence, and he's putting out a lot of great content, funny, informative. I linked it in the description. Not Yet Frank. What's the meaning behind that? I'm partly thinking becoming like the best version of ourselves, and that's what I think of. But we're like in a journey, like learning alongside people and sharing. Like that's just my interpretation without hearing from you. What does it mean? The name?
Yeah, I love that explanation of it. But before all of this, my intention wasn't to do like tech sales content. So it was more like just like I just wanted to make content in general. So I thought Not Yet Frank was kind of, a funny pun.
Yeah.
Like Not Yet Frank don't make content. And then I guess I just never changed it.
I see.
Yeah, I never changed it. So I was like, I'll just keep it this way.
I like that, man. It's always fun to hear the story behind content creator's name. And we'll talk more about that content creation and what you've discovered there in a bit. But I just wanted to ask the question. We kind of answered it, but just make sure we hit a couple of the most impactful things you did that actually get your job in tech sales.
Most impactful, aside from like the oh, my apologies. Scanning a call. Imagine if I just picked up the call on the line.
Yeah, I actually had a customer meeting once. I partner with AWS, Google Cloud, and Microsoft Azure. We co-sell an implementation part. And AWS has their own like version of Google Meet or Zoom, which is Chime. And Chime, I hadn't used a whole lot, and it sends a notification. Well, I was on one of these interviews and I had a call with AWS after, and I got the notification. I didn't in the middle of the interview, and I didn't know what it was. And it's on YouTube. It's one of these live streams. So I get it. And hey, my internet's been choppy, but you know what? We're making it happen, baby.
It's making it work.
That's life. That's sales. You keep moving forward, bumps and bruises. But anyway, so you were saying aside from networking is like number one, And like you said, if you could pick up the phone and make a cold call or get a referral from the inside, but is there anything else you would add that was like particularly impactful to help you stand out and get the job?
Yeah, be human. Like, be human during the interview process. I think a lot of people, and it happens a lot when I coach people, they think that they need to be like super proper, like, oh, hey, this and that. It's like, no, like show your personality a bit. Like, people want to work with people that have a good personality. And then also, like, I think people, this was huge. Like, going into the mock call, I feel like I'm not sure if I even like mock calls in the interview process, but that's just a different opinion. But like focusing on like open-ended questions opposed to focusing on like features and benefits. And I think like during the interview process, that can be kind of what stops people a lot.
Yeah.
But I would say like that has been super helpful. Resume has been super helpful, like trying to find ways to correlate experiences with retail and like tech sales, right? So like for me, like at the Apple Store, like part of my job was to generate sort of leads for our business team, which were essentially like AEs that would sell like bulk Apple products. So like correlating those two is like really helpful. It gives you extra brownie points.
So yeah, if we were to look at tips for the resume, you're like thoughtfully translate the qualities and skill sets from your past work experience that are relevant to the role. So if you're generating leads in some capacity for a business, like you can translate that. Are there any other like what are some of the qualities that you felt that you had that you were able to demonstrate that they look for in an SDR?
I made sure to show that I had a lot of grit. Definitely understood the platform at least a little bit because I had worked at the Apple Store, and so customers that were working in businesses had used the QuickBase platform. So I'd always like be like, hey, yeah, I've had conversations and I learned. That was like super helpful.
It's like I think go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say is like I think during the interview process, I think just sort of like being myself was the most helpful, to be honest.
Authenticity is really important. I know at Google we would say, and they still do, bring your full self to work. For companies that appreciate authenticity and that human side. So, and I like what you said about open-ended questions. Like if you're selling a project management, like how are you managing your projects today? That's open-ended question as opposed to like a yes or no question. It gets them talking and you can dig deeper into pain and like what their current processes, and then you can align a solution. So definitely helpful stuff. And we've got, I believe we got John Williams on the call here, and he just ended an SDR role. So shout out to John, his first role, he broke into tech. So joining the crew and going to have him on at some point. I'm going to ask, let's see, there's so much to talk about, right? But how did you prep for interviews? I mean, something like when you look on YouTube, you type in tech sales and like interview prep, SDR interview prep, like approach to prepping for these interviews.
Shout out to HubSpot. They had a script that was because when they told me that like, oh, you'll have to do a mock call, I was like, I don't know what to do. So I looked up B2B script and I found it on HubSpot, and it's actually like really good. And I think one of the questions that I chose to be at the end is sort of like an after scenario. So it was like, like if, what happens if you don't fix this? Like, what does that look like? And I think that really won the interview because the person I was interviewing with was like, I don't know where you got that question, but that's SaaS right there. Like, I really like the way you asked that question. And I was like, there we go. So that was super helpful. Like HubSpot has really good resources. And then I did watch a lot of YouTube videos as well. So,
well, don't fix this. It gets them thinking and formulating the problem in their head, and it's coming from them. That's such a good open-ended questions. So guys, take notes, use that in your interviews, especially when you're going through like mock call scenarios or other types of role plays. So did you get any curveball questions in your interview process, or not really? Like some companies like Google do like crazy questions, but was it all like, was there anything that caught you off guard?
You know what did catch me a little off guard? The type of questions, like they weren't like I'm in there thinking like I'm fully prepared for weird questions, but they were more like sort of philosophical questions or like questions that like really bring out who I am. So like I think one of the questions was like, what was your favorite gift you ever received?
Mm.
Um, I think another one was yeah, it was like very just like very thoughtful, thought-provoking questions. I mean, there was some like sort of I think a little bit of sales related questions, but I feel like these business development managers kind of understand that this is an entry level sales job and you're not going to have like super high level, sales knowledge. So it might be different, if you're going for an AE position externally. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they want to know who you are as a person, and they also want to see that twinkle in your eyes and that passion. Because I mean, you have to be able to get passionate about the gift you received or something that you love. Because if you can't get passionate about that, then how are they going to teach you to be passionate about the product? Because I do think positivity, passion, they're such critical qualities. Coachability is another one, as you know, like the ability to receive feedback. And it sounds like, I imagine in the quick-based process and most processes, you'll do a cold call, like hypothetical situation, and then you'll review feedback in the next round. So
Yeah.
like that's something too. But anyways, yeah, let's transition to what it's actually like to be in tech sales. You were successful, you got in, you're a senior SDR. I'm sure you're on your way to AE before we know it. So what are the pros and cons of tech sales? That's something we talked about before. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Pros and cons. I think people underestimate the amount of work it takes to be an SDR. And I think a lot of people may like search for that sort of digital nomad style. Oh, like I'll get my work done in the beginning of the day. I'll take everything, little by little. And like, there's days, man, like, I get a bunch of meetings before noon, and then there's days where I'm literally just there's days I make like 200 cold calls and like no auto dialer, like manually click to dial and outreach. So there's a lot of, I feel like this job should come with like a therapist, because it's just there's so many ups and downs. Your ego is just attacked, and like you could have had a killer day yesterday, and I mean, like on top of the world, the next day you do terrible, and all of a sudden you're like, man, like maybe I'm not made for this job. It's like, so there's a lot of that. Pros is like, I think a big pro is autonomy is one of them, right? It's like being able to kind of not, I'm gonna say like control, like make your own schedule, but it's not as you can manage your time really well and have a lot of free time to do things in the middle of the day. It's not that intense. I'd say another pro would be the people, like I said before, especially when you're at a good company, having like we have a club here. It's gonna make me sound like a tech bro, but it's what it is. We have a team called the High Dial Club. Dial High Club, where essentially you vow to make, let's say, like 100 cold calls in a day. And if you make, let's say, like less than, you said you were, you would pay like $1 for every missed dial. And it's kind of fun because, we count in there, we put a little emoji when you hit your dials, but when you book a meeting, when you have good conversations that are 3 minutes plus, like the culture is like a huge pro. It's like really fun. And you get to like in a friendly way, just like talk crap, like, oh, like you're still at 60, like come on, that's a huge pro, and that's not for everybody. Like that type of culture is not for everybody. I've seen it where if you don't have sort of that collaborative energy or like that sort of friendly competition, it may not be the role for you.
Yeah, I like that, the Dial High Club, and I know Zach had mentioned it, and just getting that camaraderie and competitive spirit going. It can be exhilarating when we get those meetings. And you mentioned, though, one of the cons, which is that there's ups and downs. It's a roller coaster ride, but I mean, it's really like a metaphor for life, you know, and it definitely builds, sale demands emotional resilience and building self-esteem, because, you know, like I remember at Oracle, we were trained up in the Sandler sales methodology. That's the basis for their how they approach sales. And it's rooted in transactional analysis, a branch of psychology. And it said, like, you know, it's someone who perceives themselves as a 10 out of 10, they might have a crappy day, but because they perceive their self-worth, their performance will rise to the level of their beliefs. Someone who sees and performs like a 10 out of 10 will the performance will dip to the level of their beliefs. So I just think, I mean, there's such an opportunity to build self-esteem and confidence through failure and through being exposed to rejection. And just commend you for being someone who's willing to take on that challenge and, you know, get out of your comfort zone. And obviously it's not for everyone, but I definitely see the opportunity. Also, it's rough. And I know you put in a lot of dialogue to see to AE and then can go further in your career. You have SDRs working for you and get higher and higher levels of freedom, like time freedom. And one of my mentors at Google made like deep, you know, so because he became, I meant another mentor at Google, brilliant guy, ended up going to Harvard Business School. Now he's in venture capital. Best to the best. He said it's like being an executive in big accounts. You have like one key negotiation and you got to rock it. You know, get a good night's sleep, prepare, set intentions, do the prep. And so I think that's the SDR grind is like the tuition we pay, you know, impact. So yeah, that's just, you know, been my experience. But they're yours, and what's in the life like though, as an SDR? Like what's a typical day?
Typical day. So I start my morning. Typically, I just kind of roll out of bed and get myself to the gym. If you know, if this is like a remote day, and usually I get to the gym around like 5:30, and then I have to get home at around. Yeah. It's like the only time I have, and I, you know, get back home, make sure I can get the car over to my girlfriend, and then I hop in the you know, shower, hop in the stand up meeting, and then basically just like rip dials. So I'll usually do, depending on the pickups, I'll probably do like 50 in the morning, and then do some prospecting, have lunch. And recently I've been hammering personalized emails.
Ooh.
It's like a creative expression for me.
Yeah, I love that's actually my career has been like what's brought me the most success is personalized emails. I really take credit. So continue on. I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, like personalized emails, and I've been getting into video prospecting. I've been getting into like personalized photos. Like when I'm in the office, like I just love being a little goofy, and like I like this meeting I had today where like I like went over to my friend. I like wrote down on a piece of paper, like, "Hey, Chris, just wanted to put, you know, a face to the name in the email." And he's like, "Hey, man, nice pick." And it was like, it was super funny. So I like to have fun with it in the middle of the
day. A prospect responded to that.
Yeah. So just finding creative ways to kind of use that creative side of myself. And then I'll do some more like dials at the end of the day. And usually I end up depends if I'm having a day. When people tell me, they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you did that many dials." It's like, it's because I didn't book a meeting, man. Like, yeah. If you see my dials are high, it's because I'm desperately trying to book a meeting. And if I'm at like 100, it's probably because I'm updating my notes in Salesforce because I booked a bunch of meetings, you know? So.
Yeah. How do you motivate yourself to you know, make that many dials and grind? I mean, partly I might steal your thunder. I'm assuming accountability and that team camaraderie is a huge part of it. Is that maybe the big driver, or is there any other ways that you like what drives you to put in the work?
I would say I gamify every sort of activity I have as monotonous. So like, if it's dials, like I'll gamify it by like oh my God, like I gotta get a 3-minute conversation, or like, I gotta see how far I can push this prospect. Because if they already said they're not interested, like just try to push it a little bit more and see what happens. And those are crazy. Like, there was this one time I did it to one lady, and she was like a VP of procurement or something at a big company. And she's like, yeah, I'm not interested. And I was like, and then I kind of handled that objection, not thinking anything was going to happen from it. Bro, she went on for 20 minutes. Like, I didn't talk. She went on for 20 minutes telling me all her problems. And then at the end of the call, she goes, all right. She books me. She goes, all right, we can either meet tomorrow or Tuesday. She says, if I get on that call tomorrow though, and you're not ready, I'm going to be really mad. Okay. So if you want to do Tuesday and try to get all your stuff together and we can meet, let's do that. And at that moment, I was like, oh, I get it. Like, this woman is the catalyst, like, or like your champion, essentially, where
Right.
it's, if she likes your product, she will make sure that anything that happens, she's going to get it into that organization, and she'll break every rule in the book. But if she hates this software, she'll make sure you'll never get it. So
Yeah.
it's experiences like that where that to me is like a game. Like, basically, let's see how far I can push someone before they hang up, or what would happen if I just awkwardly let everyone hang up on me opposed to me hanging up on them, So just stuff like that, I think, motivates me, because the money can only motivate you so much,
Yeah, no, a gamification is such a great strategy to motivate ourselves to do hard things. And I've definitely read that in a lot of like personal growth or high performance literature out there. So really great to see you putting that into action. So, all right, on to the next one, as Jay-Z might say. What have been some of the top, things that helped you be successful as an SDR? I say things, right? But now we're talking like actually executing are there hacks that around like making cold calls, or maybe it's personalization or emails? Like what's been helping you like get the results into where you are as a senior SDR?
Yeah, I would say there was two big things. One, I mean, everyone I feel like says this, like, have a good relationship with your AE.
Yeah.
Because it's not just their book of business. Like, you guys are sharing a book of business together. You know what I mean? So, it's not just, oh, like, you guys are both doing it. So, I took a lot of ownership with that, and I would actually do account research on my own and look into the company's strategic initiatives, right? And I would use a lot of that language when I was on the cold call. So that's really helpful, and I tell people, it's like, man, like, I look at their account list and I'm like, I now have the brain where I look at that account list and I'm like, dude, why are you going after this account? Like,
Dude,
you
that's
go
great.
after this account. And they're like, really, why? And I'm like, why do you think? Like, and
You
then,
talk
like,
to your AE about that? You're
well,
telling them?
I'm talking to other SDRs about that, and
Okay.
I would like Google it, and I'd be like, "Did you look at this? They literally they want new platforms, they want new softwares. Like, why aren't you going after this?" They're like, "Oh, that's a really good point." And I'm like, that was really helpful for me.
Yeah, I will tell you, man, like that is so critical. And that's the type of skill set that you need as an AE and beyond, is fishing in the right pond, targeting the right types of customers, the customers that probably need your solution, that probably have deeper pockets, they have budget. I mean, if they don't have money or they're a small fry, like, why are you chasing them?
Yeah.
So I think looking at key buying signals like leadership changes, or you're seeing that they just got more funding or acquisition, or like that, maybe intelligence, looking for a new software for a specific thing. Good on you. Like that's the type of skill that I think a lot of SDRs overlook, but what takes you to the next level, and then do you look good at your AEs when you actually qualified quality opportunities.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. They definitely
Okay.
is everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else you want to add on like crushing? Otherwise, let's talk about content creation.
I would say this, and it's sort of a controversial opinion for some people, but just put in the dials in the beginning, and then eventually when you start getting really, really good, then you can dial down. I do think that having that exposure of just having so many conversations, like it's just a lot easier for me to go for the close. Like it's a lot easier for me to dig for pain. And it's not a necessity, you know, but it's just something that's really helped me a lot.
Quality is great. You know, I feel like you have to put in the work and play the numbers game in order to learn how to be effective.
Mhm.
And let's be real, you have more chance of you shake, the more money you make. It's an expression for a reason. I don't know if you even heard that one, but I like
No,
it.
I haven't, but I do like it. I'm gonna steal
But
it.
yeah, the goal to become the machine gun salesperson, you know, really tactical. Oh shoot, I didn't mean to be pulling out a gun here. But anyways, yeah, let's talk about content creation. You know, how did you get into your TikTok? It's really cool stuff.
Yeah, so I at first I started I met Zach, who's one of my coworkers, and you know, he told me he made TikToks, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool, man. Like you have a little TikTok thing, and then he showed me his TikTok, and I was like, oh no, like you make them, yeah, you definitely make them. And I was like, that's a lot of followers, and I started just like trying to figure out what my niche was because I wanted to get into content creation for a long time, but didn't know what to talk about. And I don't know what happened, but I had this like random like impulsive feeling to pop up on my coworkers and ask them questions, like sort of point of view style. And those ones like started gaining traction. Like I think my first video, maybe like the third or fourth video, that one got like 40 or 50K views on TikTok. And I was like, oh, like people like this stuff and it's fun. Like it's like a different way of giving advice that's not just like picking up the phone and like talking, you know? So I started experimenting with that. It did really well. Unfortunately, I had one video, my account got hacked and it got removed, but a video of Zach where I popped up on him and it got like I think it was at like 100K views at one point. I popped up on him and I was like, you know, if you only had like 30 days to book 100 meetings, like what would you do? And he's like, I think I would, oh, honestly, I think I would just quit. And that one got like pretty, like that one I'd consider viral. And so that did really well. And then I started making videos that were just like response videos on my way to work. So I just walk and then like had my AirPods in. I'd just be like talking, like, yeah, this is what you should do. Or like, you should try this. And then people started hitting me up. And I didn't really think anything of it. It just, you know, whatever. And just one day I was cutting a bagel at work and this like kid comes up to me and he's like, yeah, you make content, right? You one of the guys? I was like, yeah, that's like the other guy. That's Zach. I make some content, but it's not, you know. He's like, no, you make content. Like I tried hitting you up on TikTok to give you the referral money. I wanted to give you because because of you, I applied to the job. I was like, what? So I hit up my recruiter and finally got the money. It was cool. And that was, yeah, that's when I was like, wait a second, like, dude, I had like under 500 followers. And that's when I realized like you don't need a big audience to make a difference. Like the fact that somebody was like, yeah, maybe I should work here was crazy. And then after that, like I started getting resumes in my email and people reaching out to me on LinkedIn that like I didn't even have it in my bio. Like people would just find me on LinkedIn and like, what are they typing in? Not yet Frank. They didn't even know my last name, you know? So it was crazy that they were able to like, so it was crazy that people were like reaching out like, hey, I love your content. Like it's life-changing. And I'm like, dude, I don't even have that many followers. And I think that motivated me a lot. I was like that was super awesome. I was getting on calls, like helping people get a job. There was one kid that got the job here, but he ended up backing out, ended up going to a different company, which is totally cool. So it went from like something that was just like a fun hobby to something that was like, I don't know. It was like sort of like a mission or something. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but something where I felt like I was helping out my younger self, you know?
Wow. Yeah, I was going to ask you some of the best like benefits of being a content creator. It sounds like it's meaningful. Like you're helping people access a new career opportunity. That's partly, I mean, it's not partly, it's almost all like what drives me to do this channel and put out this content. But like, what have been some of the benefits?
Some of the benefits have been that I've definitely had some people come in and like ask me like, oh, like, I have this software, like use my affiliate code and like make content with it. And some of the software I didn't really understand, so I didn't like promote it. So that was really cool. Definitely like networking has been super helpful through the platform. Helping people for sure. Um, and honestly, I think it's consistency because it helped me. I went for a while like doing 3 pieces of content per day, and it
Yeah.
like forced me to create content. And those pieces of content, like if I never created them, like there's some videos that I made, man, that I wouldn't say I'm not happy with it, but from a quality perspective, I was like, yeah, like how to get into tech sales, like this is what you do. And those videos get the most resumes. Like,
Wow.
and yeah, it's crazy. Like people, I'll get like emails in my inbox like, hey, can I be a solutions engineer, or can I get a tech support role? Or those ones are the ones that do really well. And I would have never gotten to do that if I wasn't really like going for volume when it came to content. So and I honestly, I attribute that a lot to my environment. Like Zach has had a pretty significant impact with me when it comes to like discipline and consistency when it comes to content. Um, so that was like the big benefits, but also like I think when I look at content, like I like having a personal brand, like I see it now. And like Gary Vee's been screaming this for like 10 years. But like I feel like this guy's like a fortune teller, because now that I look at it, I'm like, well, like if I can make an impact at this size, like what about at like a massive scale, like 100,000 followers, right? And it made me even think about like business. Like why isn't there more business owners just documenting their journey as like a business owner? Even if it doesn't get you more sales, like maybe you end up helping other business owners in your niche and they help you get more business. Like people that drastically underestimate like what a video can do. Like people are watching you, man. Like, and some people don't care that you're not verified, and so easier said than done for most people. But like I think, and now I'm super passionate, I just tell everybody to make a personal brand. I'm like, what do you like make a video about it. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. So what you're saying, you need a huge audience. You could have like 5 hours or less and make a difference. People reach, helping them out. It's meaningful, but consistent, right? You share the reality though, what this takes. Isn't it like full-time? I mean, I've got quite a few cooks in the fire. I don't know if that's 9 and some other than side hustle YouTube, and even YouTube. Like I'm not doing 3 a day, right? Like I'm doing 1 short a day on YouTube and TikTok and Insta, but I'm impressed with 3. Like, how do you manage all of this?
I focused on documenting, not creating. So like I think there is and it's really interesting when I was talking to every person I talked to that I kind of help in tech sales. Um, I always like to let them know, like, I was like, hey, like, why did you follow me? And a lot of them say that it was like because of the authenticity. And think about like all of the random thoughts that you have in a day, about your job and what you do, or just a thought in general, and like pick up your phone and make a piece of content, like document it. Don't focus too much on making everything look good, because
Mm,
I think the game is kind of saturated with really polished content. And I think people
yeah.
really appreciate like people just like picking up their phone and being like, hey, like I'm having this problem. And like, dude, I made a video like the other day, just like talking about like things I've noticed in tech sales. I think that one has about like 400 likes, and that's like crazy. Like I don't like my own personal like videos of just me and my face don't really end up doing that well unless it's like a really polished video. But that video, I just like picked up my phone and just started talking because I just thought it was like something I wanted to say, and there's just a passing thought. Like your passing thoughts are content, but they're so a part of you, you don't really think how
Yeah.
valuable that is to someone else.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, that's getting me to even rethink my strategy, because I could do so much more. And I'm sure a lot of creators out there who just get past trying to look good or be perfect and have production quality and just get your authentic thoughts out.
Yeah.
Theme today is authenticity. You mentioned it's critical. It's critical. And that's just something, if we could all come away knowing when we show up, as our Excel, things happen. The question is, do you find TikTok in particular focused in your phone through TikTok and video is better than like recording a video than TikTok? Because I've actually been doing the latter, and I have a feeling that it's actually better to raw like record in TikTok. What's your
Yeah, I haven't. So I used to like have a huge, crazy video workflow, and I'd use CapCut, and it was okay. Like it worked well. But yeah, I do notice like a better video quality, and my videos tend to do better when they're shot from the TikTok app.
Yeah,
Usually. Um,
I'm gonna try that out.
yeah, yeah, definitely try it. I mean, I've definitely had videos that did really well that I edited off of TikTok, but I've used CapCut, which I believe is owned by ByteDance, which is owned by TikTok. So I don't know if
Ooh.
there's some sort of like
TikTok wants you to be in the platform more.
right.
Funny, let's be
Exactly.
real. You're probably gonna do better when you record it natively, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So one other thing on content creation is, have you found content creation has helped you become better at your job by putting out content? It's like actually supported you being more successful in your role, or is it? I mean, it's not. I'm not going to have you say it's a distraction, but like it's another thing to manage. But has it actually helped you be more successful as an SDR?
Hmm. I think it's helped me like it's helped me think about my job a lot, which I think makes me a lot better. Like I'm constantly, it's constantly trying to find content all of the time. And so that content ultimately affected me. I started making tech sales videos, and I think that kind of put me in tech sales TikTok. Um, so I attribute like a lot of sort of the creators out there on TikTok, like Tech Sales Tom and um, you know, just so many different people out there, Trent Dressel, all those people that kind of like, um, it was so nice to get sort of like an outside perspective. I'd say the biggest thing though is probably the consistency that I took in TikTok. It kind of was a ripple effect. I think that's kind of what helped me also like get into the perspective of like, or the mindset of like we need to do more than the bare minimum. Like we need to not
Yeah.
just hired at 60 dials. We need to do the 100. I think me and Zach at one time were doing 180 calls a day.
Wow, man, that is something else. I think like just consistency and showing up is such a key to success. It sounds so simple and obvious, but it's true. You just keep showing up in your role as an SDR,
Mhm.
or keep showing up making content, and good things will come. So way to show up consistently, man. I know you and Zach are a great dynamic duo when it comes to accountability, and just excited to continue to cheer you on. And I appreciate you generously sharing, your story, your experience, your insight. And I think like, yeah, more people should create a personal brand out there. And I found that by making videos, I do some longer form for YouTube, on
Yeah.
different topics, and then shorts as well. And then interviewing people like you. I've had some famous sales authors. I've had a range of guests. I feel like I've learned a lot more about my craft too. I actually won in Las Vegas with a team offsite, and we had off the cuff, our CEO said we're going to pitch contest, and I did a video in an elevator in downtown Austin in like a skyrise doing an elevator pitch. And I studied up for that video to create it, and actually off focusing on the elevator pitch with my literally think it was from creating the content that it forced me to ask the leading question. I found in my experience it's helped. So hopefully people out there, some of you maybe he'll start his own presence because he got a personality and some things. So just wanted to finish up with one more question and action. The final question for you is like, what's next for you? Like, what are some of your goals? What's your vision for your life? How do you see Texas enabling it? Because I think just like having that clear vision, yeah, I'd love to turn that over to you and get your thoughts.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely don't want to go back to a job that's hourly or salary. I don't think that's for me. So next step would definitely be for either starting my own business or going for AE. But I think right now I'm really focused on content creation becoming a business for me. So I want to kind of not shift away from tech sales. I want to keep tech sales as like my brand, but I want to kind of keep me as the niche and just try to help people from all different places and eventually build that up and then use that eventually to build my own business. Something in the more creative side, but I've definitely have accepted that it's either sales or my own business. I don't know if I could like I've done hourly jobs and salary jobs and um they just they actually end up making me feel like purposeless because I don't feel like I'm chasing anything. And I tend to like get motivated by chasing things.
Yeah, I definitely think that sales is a pathway to entrepreneurship. You know, you develop the skill set, the financial capital, the people, political capital, the relationships that can really put you in a position to make things happen, raise funds for a startup, and just be successful. One of my close mentors founded 3 companies, and I mean, he's retired at like 46, but I mean, he had coaches, founders now. He's on boards and he loves sales, and he started in tech sales. So he's one of many examples. So I'm sure, man, you're well on your way to whether it's starting your own business or just even, you know, I do love the idea of like turning your brand into a business, like through content and
Mhm.
creating passive income. That's the beauty, man.
Yeah.
Affiliates and other things of, you know, building a platform. So speaking of brand and everything, I've got some calls to action. Make sure to connect with Frank. It's Frank Santana, right? On
Yep.
LinkedIn and on
Yep.
TikTok, not yet Frank. We've got those both linked in the description. Any other calls to action, Frank, before we sign off?
No, that's it. You know, if you need some tips or pointers that maybe I didn't explain in the video, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. Like I'm more than happy to help, you know. I always love to help like anyone, you know, kind of get out of their situation and get into tech sales, you know.
Yeah, guys, definitely reach out to Frank. You know, walking the walk, he's done the thing, and he's just such a great resource. So, for showing up, it's great to have a audience, and to those who view this, thank you for checking this out. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for weekly videos committed to your success in tech sales, and in to you guys. Happy selling and happy living, and we'll see you in the next one.